Welcome to the Twin Tail Studios podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. I got a clip off that you did a phone drop. It clipped the mics.
That wasn't a phone drop. That was a applause.
This is the Twin Tail Studios podcast, and I'm your host, Brady Sadler.
I'm your host, Adam Sadler,
and we're here to talk about how much we hate campaigns. Not really. From a design standpoint, we have frustrations, but we're gonna.
I don't even think it's frustration. I just think it's something we don't do often because
it comes up a lot. It comes up a lot in discussion where it's like that's like the main thing people seem interested in. And
I guess the only pain is when people think that it's always applicable. Where it's like, this always needs a campaign or something.
It's a campaign in my ass. So that's the name of the episode. So hopefully. Principal advisor.
I came up with that, but I thought it was too vulgar.
It's not vulgar because it can mean a donkey.
It just sounds like someone shoving a campaign up somebody's ass.
That's vulgar. That's vulgar. So yeah, we're here. I think we missed a couple weeks, right? We missed a couple weeks.
We missed last week.
I've noticed
we missed 1 week.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks in production land. But I feel like I should apologize because when I listen to our podcast, I've been trying to fix this on a mechanical end, but I feel like whenever I'm talking, it's very droning and like it's probably just the way I'm talking because I'm not used to talking to a mic all the time. But I don't know if you've noticed it on the podcast, but it's like very it's very like monotone and I don't know, just like
because you talk too much, like you're talking too long of sentences.
It could be. That could be it. It's not animated. It's not punctuated enough. But I'll try to fix that because I don't want to do that. But anyway,
we've heard nothing but complaints of getting emails constantly about you on the podcast, your voice in the podcast.
Yeah, why is he even on there? So yeah, like since we've last spoken, I know we were complaining for a couple episodes about not having a preview page up. And not to jump the gun, we'll get to this. This part of like the studio updates we'll do. That's exciting. I just got back personally. We'll just kick off into our little, kill some time aspect. About 10 minutes of us talking about nothing.
You just did
an hour of nothing.
You just killed a bunch of time for no reason.
So I drove about 11 hours over the weekend because I went to Knoxville, Tennessee for the TBR Con, which can be
to be read.
Yeah, it could be interpreted as to be read or the Tennessee Book Readers Convention, they call it, ran by a very kind woman named Megan Stockton. Did a great job organizing a really cool event. Unfortunately, when I was there, I had I thought a pretty elaborate setup, but I didn't draw any attention. Like people just kept walking by my table, and I don't know if it's because I just have too much stuff.
You're doing something to turn people off at those events. When I was at Gen Con, I was like, for some reason, people are avoiding this table, and
it might be the way I look. I don't know, because I do dress kind of like provocatively with bright colors. Maybe that turns people off. I don't know. I wear like bright green shirts and bright yellow pants, or vice versa. And
people are drawn to subtlety.
I guess maybe because like I notice I watch. It's hard not to when you're sitting there kind of doing nothing, twiddling your thumbs at a table, and you're watching where attendees go, like where they're drawn to. And there's a lot of these tables that have, it's hard to like even talk about this without sounding like derogatory or something, because I'm not. It's more just an observation where I see a lot of book covers that look the same. There's always like this kind of a formula a lot of people have for book covers nowadays. I don't love it because it's like, sparkly letters and like patterns and sometimes like a couple faces or whatever, but it screams like romantasy, and that's like a big thing. Obviously people love romantasy. That's like the big genre now.
I wonder if that is because of like this culture that we're in right now, like where young people are growing up where they're just always online. And I always hear this thing where the more people are online and social media and stuff like that, they just have less like interpersonal relationships with people like in person and like talking to them, and so they've escaped to like these fantasy books where they can read about people that have relationships because they haven't had enough of them in their real life. I don't know, like it's weird because I guess that's one of the top selling genres now.
Yeah, romance in general is always like general romance.
Even back in the past, was it like in the 90s?
In general, romance has always been the dominating thing.
I've never paid attention to it.
And it's like, it is, I mean, that's a whole different discussion because it's like kind of about smut. Because like there's that like acceptable level of smut, and you can like read and get very invested in these words You go look at like pornographic material is one thing, but people like will read a book and it's like they can have their imagination. So it's a whole different discussion. But yeah, romance has always been, and it's not necessarily just smut. It's also just like literally just romance, just relationships and stuff. But yeah, there's a huge market for that, and it's very saturated. But it seems like people who consume so much of it, they always want more. There's always like a hunger for this romance. And I admit my stuff might look a little juvenile maybe for like book readers, because like if they're used to these certain formulas of book covers, the imagery, they see mine, they think of video games and like comic books and stuff. Maybe that's not what they're looking for, even though like maybe the stories are pretty similar to what they're looking for.
Maybe you should like make a board game based off one of your books and tap into like the board game market, because gamers would like it.
I need to change the branding, because like I noticed there's the thing too where one of the authors next to me, they had a pirate book, but they had this like D20 like they had a tower and a D20, and you could roll the D20. If you roll natural 20, you get a free book. People loved that. It's like, and they're like, oh, and they talk about D&D and stuff, and I'm like sitting over here, my books are about D&D.
I wouldn't want to gamble that, man.
Well, still, it's a different like in your face thing where like I have these books that just scream D&D, but for some reason people see a D20 and they latch onto that as opposed to like the actual
people like things. I mean, anything that changes up what they're doing. If they're a place looking at table after table of book after book, anything that changes it up is interesting. Like somebody, like at Gen Con, the woman next to you, she had these like keychains or something. Yeah, like people are just flocking to those things, and it's like,
yeah, I noticed that at the Moseyed on Main Street in Lafayette too, because one of my tent neighbors that had like a booth there, they just had like 3D printed knickknacks, and people are going nuts for these things. They're just like they're grabbing them off the rack. Oh, I gotta get this little dragon thing. It's just crazy to me, because it's like
it's probably just because it's also inexpensive. It's like most of them are probably just like little cheap.
Yeah,
little.
It's fascinating to try to understand the consumer, and like because I'm an attendee at these things, I know what I go for. So if I'm walking by my table, I'm like, what is that? And I did get some people. I mean, I'm not saying like nobody was interested, because people stopped by, they talked, I handed out a bunch of flyers for the Gamefound page. So it wasn't a wasted trip or anything, and it was fun. Like I thought it was a great event they put together. So I just felt like maybe I could have done better. I'm not sure what I'm not doing right, but yeah, there's always next time. I got a couple of other events coming up before the end of the year, so we'll see how those go. But that was my weekend. Played a lot of Pokemon. I have my mod Retro Chromatic I've been wearing that battery out like crazy, playing Pokemon Green, Metal Gear Solid. If you haven't played Metal Gear Solid on Game Boy, like watch a video of that on YouTube. That's like a fascinating game. Like the animations and stuff, it seems like way ahead of its time for Game Boy graphics. But
on YouTube, I'm busy rewatching the Gaming Historian videos over and over again. Like his story of Tetris and Oregon Trail, I can watch over and over again.
You watch the Star Tropics one?
Yeah, I've watched all his videos, man.
I was going down a rabbit hole I was in this really crappy hotel or motel in Knoxville. It was a Red Roof Inn. Was not pleasant, and I felt like I was in one of the. Tom Hanks in Big, when he's like curled up in the hotel, people are screaming and banging on the door and stuff. That's what I felt like.
It's not Tom Hanks, it's Josh Baskin.
Josh Baskin, sorry. That's what I felt like when I was in. So I had my my little chromatic. I was curled up in my bed watching the UK Office and just playing Pokemon and watching gaming historian videos. That was my weekend though.
If you haven't watched this, Gaming Historian was a YouTube channel where he like basically did kind of like little documentaries episodes about different things in retro game, like mostly Nintendo stuff, but he does great videos, and he was doing videos for years, and then like a few years ago, I guess he kind of semi-retired. He's like took a break. I'm taking a break from doing videos, which was sad, but I just saw him post like last month on Facebook saying he's working on a new video, so that's exciting. So if you ever check out the Gaming Historian, I think he's got a new video coming out, which is pretty cool.
When you say you've watched all his videos, how many would you say he has? Because I haven't gone through his backlog.
I mean, he has a lot of things I find less interesting, like things like some like a lawsuit with Sega and something, or like just a little short clips. And then plus his older videos, they were interesting, but they weren't as well produced. And as the more he did it, he got better and better. But like his Tetris one is like an hour long, and if you've seen the Tetris movie, on, was it Apple TV?
Apple TV, yeah. I haven't finished it yet.
Which is a good movie. But if you watch his video, like he has this hour-long video about the story of Tetris. It's interesting to see how it lines up with his reporting and the facts versus the the Hollywood-style movie, which is, there's some stuff that definitely crosses over, but obviously some things were
When
made
he
more
does
interesting.
that, grab his head so he does not unplug the stuff.
This cat, man, you need to get rid of this cat.
I
You need to get rid of the cat
I
door so the
try.
cat stops coming down here.
The other thing was to mention about the gaming historian was watching the because I mentioned Star Tropics, and I don't know, this made me think about branding stuff, and this could be a topic for later. But like, because they're in that video, they talk about Zoda's Revenge or whatever, and I remember vividly. Like not playing that game, but looking at the box and not even realizing it was a Star Tropics game because it's very small text. It says like Star Tropics 2.
Like, it was a strange decision.
It's very bizarre. Side tangent. Anyway, so yeah, that was me going to TBRCon. I'm guessing you probably worked on the rule book all weekend and cleaned
I
up
finished
all the
designing
language
another hero for the game. Secret hero. This cat, man. And
that's studio updates though. That's work. We always talk
it's
about
part of it.
always
It's
talk
not
about
that.
this.
It's not a big studio update. I worked on did some game design.
What Pokemon did you catch?
I played a little bit of Borderlands 4. My wife bought it for me because her birthday is this week, and she decided to buy me a copy of the game to play with her for her birthday, which is strange, but she loves Borderlands. So I've been playing that a little bit this weekend. Actually, since it's been 2 weeks since we last recorded, I did a little bit of painting. I painted some Tyranid terrain for my for Kill Team.
So we can play now?
I have Tomb World coming tomorrow, which is like the Necron box, which sucks because I haven't even painted the Tyranids yet. But I just can't stop buying Joint Operations Kill Teams, Joint Ops Kill Team stuff.
You say that, but you never. You keep saying you want to play PvP specifically, not Joint Ops.
No, I do want to play Joint Ops, but like playing PvP is still fun. Like it's engaging.
I think it's fun.
I like the strategy because Joint Ops is fun, but it doesn't feel as strategically engaging.
When you play the same opponent though, with like a PvP, it's like you got to admit that it's not as like compelling.
You have so many. You have tons of kill teams.
They're not painted. I only have one I really want to play. Well, I do have the Imperial Navy guys. I'm not a huge fan of them though. It's funny because the guys I have painted are the ones I don't really feel like playing. The ones I don't have painting, I want to play. Probably,
yeah. I would play.
Always greener.
I don't necessarily want to play one mode versus the other. I just like playing kill team in general. So,
all right. Well, we're coming up on 15 minutes into this podcast, and we've talked about.
Don't time my
topics. No, I'm not, because I'm trying to keep it on track because somebody's got to do it. Because if we want to do like hour episodes, we got to like kind of be segmented. Because I think that we need to like talk about updates. Like Twin Tail content. So, people who come to this podcast to talk about
Twin Tail Studios. We've, as mentioned previously, we had a big update where we finally got our Gamefound preview page launched. We had some things to work out with Gamefound and got it all squared away and got the page up, and it's really just a landing page right now. We don't have the much stuff there yet. We're going to start adding to it slowly.
And what's nice is with only the landing page and almost like no marketing, like we did like our social media push, no marketing. We're already up to like, I think it was, last I checked, it was 840 followers.
843 last I checked. Let me see if it changed since then. I'll pull it up real quick.
And it was pretty steady last week. It's kind of slowed down this week, but
844.
Yeah, so that's still fantastic. So we're going to do some pushes with updates and more imagery, and that'll crank those numbers up. But yeah, it's a good start for like just putting it up and saying, hey, it's up. So we're stoked about that. That's pretty exciting.
And if you haven't told your friends, or if you haven't followed it yet, go follow it. And if you haven't told your friends, tell your friends.
Yeah. Because those follower numbers are so vital because, first off, people really gauge, launch dates, like conversion rates, all that stuff. Like follower count is really crucial. So we're going to push that as hard as possible. It's going to determine like when we can launch, when we want to launch, like how long we want to run, stuff like that. So
we have to try to fund day one, like if that's kind of essential for the projects these days.
People seem to care about that, so let's make that happen. Make it easier for everybody. I don't think it's gonna be a problem if we aim high enough.
Even with the follower count, our launch date is still mostly determined by making sure the game is done, and like that's still. The sculpts are just now starting. So Tom is starting to work on concepts for the sculpts, and we can't wait to start seeing some actual sculpts. We have art's been going on. We had graphic design going on.
Yeah, we'll say I think I can confidently say we're over the 50% mark as far as like artwork done. And everything's been commissioned at least. So like all the artwork is either done or in the works. As in being, the artists have the briefs and we're in discussions with them. So there's no outstanding, like, who's going to do this art? So that's great.
And I think Chris has actually finished up, like, designing almost all the components.
Yeah, man, I cannot put into words how much I love his graphic design. Because, I had this, when we were working at Blacklist, that's when we first really got into, like, working on collaboratively with Chris on design stuff. But his graphic design is always just, like, so spot on for me because, like, he nails all the colors I want, and I'm a big color guy, and it makes everything so colorful, so cool.
Yeah, and our play testers will be in for a treat because I'm going to be updating our tabletop simulator demo that we use for our prototype that we use for playtesting with some nice graphics once those are ready. Because we're going to put together a demo kit, which is like just a selection of content from the game, and we're going to get that like all mocked up, looking good, and print it off and just print a prototype with one of these local states in the states manufacturer to print a demo kit together so we can send it out to some content creators and get some previews going. And we'll play it ourselves too for like a live stream or something.
Yeah, because we were hoping this episode, maybe next episode, we won't lock into it. We were hoping that we'd have this kind of like streaming video thing, like doing a live stream with our podcast, like kind of at the same time. That'd be kind of a cool setup if we can figure it out. We want to make sure we can get the back end logistics.
Well, I may be, if this week goes a certain way, I may be having to buy my own laptop, so we'll have 2 laptops to work with. So
yeah, well, we got to get rid of these toys over here and figure out where the studio is going to go, where the filming is going to happen, and what table to
need
use.
More of those lights too.
I got plenty of those lights. So that is going to be like fairly soon, maybe. We'll do some more live like footage, some content with video. You may actually make use of our YouTube channel.
Maybe we should play a game of Hour of Need, one of our hits. Do a playthrough of that.
And we have some other cool developments going on for other games outside. That was like kind of our Malice of Light adventures, which is the most pressing one, obviously. I am still struggling with the book 3 because I'm like 60,000 words into this book, and usually I'm aiming for like maybe less than 175,000 words for this book. I'm pacing myself on it because we have time with the game launch and everything like that. If the game was launched, I'd be pushing a lot harder with this draft, but my editor is very very confident that if I can get him the draft, he'll have it edited like within 20 days. So I'm not too worried about the actual, completion of the manuscript, but I'm trying to focus my efforts on that, which is frustrating because we have a lot of design ideas for future games, and especially like Relic Myers probably our next IP we're targeting, because I'd love to have a game ready to go by next Halloween, or at least close, because I love this time of year, and right now I'm like kind of itching to start the next Relic book, and I got fantasy to deal with right now. Fantasy's the focus. We can't talk about other developments, right? Because it's premature, right?
Nope, nothing yet.
I always want to, but yeah, that's kind of like our studio updates, how things have been going. Can't complain, going well. I guess we're just like waiting to show stuff right now because
and this is, I don't know if this is necessarily tied to Twin Tail Studios because we're not officially going to have like presence there, but there is a chance that I might actually be going to Essen next month, which would be cool because I've never been to Essen.
It would be cool. You hate traveling.
What's that?
You hate traveling.
I hate traveling, but I wouldn't mind experiencing something like that. Like
I've always wanted to go to Essen.
I hate the actual, sitting in a plane and all that stuff and packing everything involved with it. But it'd be cool to go. The only time I've ever gone over to that side of the ocean is I went to go to England when I was working at FFG. Went to go visit the Games Workshop campus, which was pretty awesome. It was a cool experience. I didn't like the travel necessarily, but I like the memories of being there. So
I almost forgot, as far as, we're still talking about the studio stuff, that this is actually relevant, because who else is going to be at Essen is our localizing partner. We signed an agreement with our new localization partner, Next Tabletop, with David Lockwood and Derek Funkhauser, and
David and Derek.
And Theo, I forget the last. I always mispronounce
I haven't
the last
met him
name.
yet.
Yeah. Theo, I think it's like Grin. I think it's French, and I don't want to mispronounce it. But I remember meeting him when I was at FFG or not FFG, at Lucky Duck when I went to Poland.
I see. I was there, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. So yeah, really excited about that. We haven't, dug too much into the specifics on that, like publicly, but we will soon.
We did a lot of paperwork last week because we also signed an agreement with Quartermaster Logistics to do fulfillment for this project. So we got quotes coming in from the factory. We got partnerships for localization. We got partnerships for fulfillment. Everything's getting locked in so we can make sure that this thing delivers smoothly, because that's kind of the reason we're doing this project, because like we said right from the beginning, we want to do kind of a simple project where it's like just a core game, get it out there quick. It's gonna be ready to print when the campaign ends, and get it out there, so show people what we can do. So
yeah, and the stuff we have lined up for next year, you'll want to make sure this does really well, because it's going to set us up for some really cool stuff next year.
We have ideas.
We can't.
Things in the works.
We're going to be, as like I mentioned before, like when we first started this company, we're going to be very transparent. Unfortunately, what we want to talk about is not just involving our studio, but it's other publishers, other partners. So we want to make sure that's all covered before we start talking about it publicly. But there's some exciting stuff, which means more games based on books. Maybe even new books that don't exist yet with games attached to them. So exciting stuff. The other thing about the studio is, if you happen to be, we have a huge listener base. So if one of you happens to be really talented with pixel art or working in GB Studio, we're also like talking like about a project we want to do that's more video game related. Obviously tabletop's our focus right now, but something like long term we want to look at. So find us some people, because I'm running out of time to do things myself, like actually do the work myself. I got the ideas, but
yeah, I want to paint some miniatures, and I don't have time to do it.
Yeah,
like last week was busy.
Yeah, right now with like 3 jobs and like doing this stuff on the side, it takes a lot out.
I will say, even not even having product to sell and stuff like that, like we are learning that the downside of running your own company is just time. Like you spend time in emails and Discord and meetings and all that stuff. Just like organizing things. You're not actually doing stuff. I mean, you are doing business, but it's just not something we're used to, because we're used to like creating things, like creative projects and design a game and just play test and all that stuff. But there's all the stuff involved, and it's cool, and it's and it's not like complaining or anything like that, but it does take away time from other stuff. So
yeah, and I think like depending on the level of success of how things go, like we might have to be more accommodating to that, because we'll have to be overseeing a lot of stuff. And
maybe if we didn't have day jobs.
It's a challenge for sure. The other thing I wanted to mention as far as like studio updates go is there's been a lack of like press release stuff or like website stuff. Websites are weird because like nobody uses websites anymore. It's all social media stuff.
You just need it there just in case.
So those will be updated as well, because we like I said, we just need more imagery to show off and everything. But let's talk about campaign games. Campaign in my ass.
Were listener questions not part of the studio updates?
Oh, sure. We'll do that first. Yeah, we'll do that before we get to the deep dive of
so we did have some questions to go over, because we skipped last week. There's some questions in here. Blackheart Paladin, Ryan asks, have you thought about if you'll try to do a miniatures line again? I know Adam had said how bummed he was that Blacklist messed up that one, and how it was such a good idea, which I agree. I don't know what our plan would be, but I like that idea. And also, like, now that we are working with Tom on this game, if it's something that he's ever interested in doing, I'd love to work with a sculptor specifically, someone I know that I could like actually, because when I was doing that miniatures line, I was kind of just putting together all these concepts and like coming up with poses and stuff like that to give to the artists and sculptors, and they were just doing what I said. But I kind of want to work with a sculptor who is like, here, give me some ideas for poses and like, you know, do something cool. So it'd be cool to work with a sculptor doing that, and I would be totally open to that. But I think if we did it, we'd probably do more of a combine the game more with it, like miniatures.
The one thing that like it wasn't much of a regret, but because when we were working on Blacklist, it's always hard to describe this because people didn't really know like how the structure was. But Adam and I would just constantly pitch ideas, and like we would have to be, you know, we'd be allowed to do certain things. So, but we didn't have like full control. So with Twin Tail, at least anything we wanted to do, we would make the decisions on. So like. Example, if we want to do like a line of figures, a line of miniatures, we would develop a product that'd be a perfect companion to it, so they would be like so integrated, because Lasting Tales was the best we could do given the structure of how Blacklist operated. But if we did our own,
that game was awesome. Mark did an awesome job.
Mark did an amazing job, and that game I really hope it sees the light of day in some form, because it was really cool. But at the same time, if we had the ability to plan ourselves and do it ourselves, we have plenty of ideas, because we grew up just loving that concept of like, you know, Hero Quest, but just having like smaller, more like compact products to just constantly expand different parts of the world. So we have ideas how that could work, but it's just a matter of, you know, having the logistics in place, because like, let's say hypothetically, Malice of Light Adventures does amazingly and allows us to do more with that theme. That would be like, oh, let's do a skirmish adventure game, kind of like Lasting Tales, but structure around a miniatures line. So it's like you have this game that could be played with tokens or whatever and components, but you could swap it out with miniatures. And
sound like you said skirmish
game, probably did. That's it. Yeah, but good question. Definitely was something we would think about, but at the same time, I think like our main focus right now is just making really cool, you know, compact projects attached to these IPs, but definitely in the realm of possibilities.
All right, so Old School Gamer has actually a few questions. Old School Gamer is one of our newer playtesters. I've been playing a lot, which is awesome. Great. Thanks for the feedback. First question is, what are your biggest concerns with the campaign, and are you taking any directed actions to head them off? It's a good question. I would say my biggest I have a couple of concerns. One is one of those questions is
it's always like the O's and the N's.
Is people maybe like having reservations with us in our first project as our own company, because, you know, we've had a bad experience in the past with other publishers, like, you know, when we worked at Blacklist Games, thinking that maybe somehow that we wouldn't be able to fulfill our project, which, you know, this is a valid concern for anybody who's going to crowdfunding. But I think that the way we're approaching this campaign, we're trying to be more like very public about this, what our plans are. We've been, from the very beginning, we're trying to keep this project simple, just to show what we can do. So I think that we're heading that one off pretty well. We haven't had any negative comments at all yet, which is crazy. Which is crazy for me, but like everybody else is like, well, yeah, they expected that. Lots of positive views, which is great. But my other one would be that's tied to that is the fact that we're kind of keeping it simple. That maybe people might be disappointed with like not tons and tons of stuff in the campaign, where there's like, you know, tons of stretch goals and hundreds of miniatures. And
which my reply is always, that's crazy. I like to look at like these amazing studios like Dice Throne that does these like Dice Throne Adventures. They just put this product up and says, here's what you get, and it's not about throwing as much plastic as you can in the box. It's more just, here's a really good game, here's our product we want to do, do you want it or not? Like there's plenty of studios doing that, so I want to follow in that same vein, so I'm not worried about that. I would also add, though, in that question is like just like more about how soon we can get this launched, like, because like I'm more of like, let's make this happen, let's go, and I know we need to be conservative and we need to be, you know, reined in, make sure everything's in line before we just hit the launch button. So my concerns more are just like, I want to hit, you know, I'd love to launch this before the end of the year. If it doesn't happen, though, it's fine, we can just launch early next year, it's not a big deal. But that's what I'm worried about, is making sure we have a good timeline.
His next question is, how do you know when game development is complete? Is it difficult to leave ideas on the table when you don't have the timeline to test them out? I'm guessing your past experiences support these types of decisions. Any context with Mouse Light Adventures would be insightful.
I would answer this by saying that it's never done. It's like writing a book for me. Like I look at these things very similarly. You can sit there and obsess about it and go over and over and make, like, I want to make this the best thing ever. But there's a point where you have to literally just say, we need to make this happen. This needs to be a thing. Otherwise, we're going to sit on it and we're keep revising it, because no creation is ever done. Like, you can't be like, oh, I'm done. Like, you pretty much just have to force yourself to say, this is good. This is where we need to go. We need to finish this and complete it and polish it. So for this game in particular, we had a formula at least in place where we know the budget we're working with. We know what can fit in a box. So we've been in this long enough where we look at things more from a formulaic standpoint as from the production end of things, as opposed to being like, how can we be as creative as we want with no limitations? Because honestly, limitations are what give you the best ideas, I think.
Honestly, I think that's why this game came together so quickly, is because we approached it with the mindset of, this is what we want to make. We want to make this game, to do this thing. We want to do a project, and we had this idea of a game we wanted to make. This roguelike game. So it kind of was a combination of having this nugget of inspiration of this game you want to make, but also knowing exactly what the product you're going for and the timeline you're going with, and that does, I mentioned this last time, where I hear people talk about, oh, we're finally going to do something with this game. We worked on this game for years, and I just can't imagine working on a game for years. So I just can't. We designed this game in a few weeks. We hammered it out, play tested it off and on, got new ideas, rebuilt it, tore it down, rebuilt it, just over and over again until it worked.
And that's not saying that's how people should work. That's just how we work, because we both have this kind of weird shared version of ADHD or something where
I don't.
I'm saying our creative relationship is always we'll do something. If we don't do something immediately, it'll just get set aside and whatever. So this game needed to happen within August 2025, or it wouldn't have happened.
That's also what I'm saying, is if you just commit to something, we want to do a Gamefound, so we start talking about it, well, we have to do it. We can't just we've already publicly said we're going to do it, so we have to do it. And those people that work on games for years is usually because they're just doing it for fun, and they're just let's work on this game, when we have time, and it's no scheduled, we got to get it done by this time, and let's make sure it works. So really, deadlines are what do it. A game, you can tweak a game forever, but if you want to make a product, you just have to figure it out. So sometimes it is difficult to cut ideas that you really want because they don't work for whatever reason, but the nice thing is you can always use them later. You can put them in a new game idea, reuse it.
Funny thing about this game with Malice Light, we might have been documenting this as we've recorded podcasts, but this damn peril and scheme system we were working with, there were so many failed attempts to make this work. What we came to was fantastic, but there was actually a couple iterations before what we came to now that I preferred. It just would not work in a very streamlined manner. It was much more cumbersome to actually do on a tabletop. It might have been great for a video game, but it just didn't work, for the medium. So we had to keep pushing, and we got to something now that works really elegantly. And I'm crazy about it. I think it's great, but at the same time, the previous iterations we did, I was I wanted it to work so bad, it just didn't. And you gotta make the decision that's best for the medium, because that's that you gotta look at things from the player standpoint. They're the ones doing all of the the functions and everything themselves. So you got to make sure it's catering to them. But yeah, that one system we had, there was 2 iterations ago, I would have loved to make work. It just didn't happen. Wasn't on the cards.
Thanks for the questions there. Ryan's got some more. I've always wondered this, and I figure I might as well ask you guys. But have you thought about putting a link in the physical board game to the Tabletop Simulator mod? I know right now anyone that's willing to play can get it, or playtest can get it. But I've always thought it'd be a good idea for publishers to include it so people can play with the game with friends over long distances. There might be very obvious reasons as to why this isn't done, but I could not think of any.
Let me jump in and say, hell no, I don't want anybody to have to use that. I personally don't love Tabletop Simulator. I know, like he said there, for people who are not nearby, being able to play long distances, that'd be great. And I'm not opposed to that at all. It's just like I feel like that's not the ideal way to enjoy this game.
Yeah, I honestly haven't looked at this. I don't know if do people sell like workshops that
I think it's usually just available. I don't know for sure.
I thought that they sold like professional versions of those mods.
There is Board Game Arena. I haven't looked at, but people use that, and that's got like you sell games on there.
I think that's what comes down to is basically it's the same thing with like pirated music or whatever. It's like you're giving away your work because unless you can kind of limit who has access to it. Because right now it's like I set up my link on Tabletop Simulator for like playtesting, where anybody who has the link can access it, and they have to sign an NDA to like not share that link. But technically, anybody who had the link could get in there and play it. So you can't really control that very easily. And it's not like you don't want people playing with their friends and stuff like that. But you also want to sell your game, so you want to make sure that people come to you to get official products. So that's probably why it's not that like popular. Or
yeah, it's kind of interesting because like while it is intellectual property, it's an IP. Like the selling the product itself is like that's the goal, is to move the product itself. So doing like a consolidated version, like a demo version, is totally fine. But like offering everything available, that's where you kind of have some gray areas, because it's just by the discretion of the publisher. I think like ideally we probably wouldn't offer everything, just because that does seem like like the product itself is what we're producing. So like if we offer the whole thing, it just makes it so like it's harder for us to keep doing games like that.
He had a follow-up question for me specifically. Now that you've co-authored Ransom Creek, did that motivate you to maybe push an idea you had before for a different book? Actually, I think I mentioned this a few episodes ago, or maybe it was Joint Operations, where after working on that book is kind of what pushed us to actually start the company, because we were just doing creative stuff again, and Brady's been doing books, like printing his own, publishing his own books and doing business stuff himself. And when I got involved in, co-wrote Ransom Creek Remains, it's like, we're just doing this. We used to do this with games. Why don't we just, make a company? So it kind of led into that, which is great. But I also, like, that book specifically made me want to work on this professional wrestling themed book that I think we talked about it, where I was watching Late Night with the Devil, which is a pretty cool horror movie, but it's about this talk show, and it's like all takes place on Halloween night, and all this weird stuff starts happening. But it made me want to do like a wrestling a fictional pro wrestling book about this big huge pay-per-view event where all this weird supernatural stuff is happening, and I thought it'd be really fun, and we've been talking about it, and so that actually might be a book in the future.
I'm pretty sure it will be. It's just a matter of when it's going to fit into our schedule. Like let's say hypothetically, Mouse Light Adventure does great, and we're able to like fund X, Y, and Z number of projects next year. One of those would be that. But yeah, like I would look forward to that, because I think I mentioned too when we brought this up a couple episodes ago. There's a perfect way to tie that into the Relic Myers franchise. So I like, not that everything needs to be like shared universe, but it just works out really well.
I think there's a lot of stuff that makes sense to cross over with Relic. This follow-up question is for you, I think. He said, I love the chapter break artwork. He doesn't know what the term is, but I think you mentioned later it's a scene break.
Yeah.
What's the process for creating those? Do you hire someone to make them, design them yourself? The Relic ones are his favorite, but they all fit perfectly for their corresponding books.
Yeah, it's kind of a boring answer, because I do a lot of because I'm not a graphic designer, so I do a lot of my quote-unquote graphic design in Canva, and there's a lot of cool tools in there. For the Relic Myers one, for example, I just pulled a stock, cassette tape image. It was like a stock art thing, and I just tweaked it a bit and put the Alter Stone, or I think it was the Alternus text on it. Mostly just manipulating stock art and doing some very juvenile graphic design. The one on Acrid Sky, though, is it's a funny story because I use a tool called Atticus for my layout. This might be kind of boring for the layman out there, but for anybody who does like layout stuff for books, InDesign's kind of the standard, but I use this thing called Atticus, which is geared very much toward making ebooks, but also does print books. So I do all my layouts in there, but they have built-in scene breaks. So anytime you have a ... which is like the asterisk, it'll insert an art piece. They have stock images, and it's funny because the one that's used in my Malice of Light series, it was one of the stock ones, but for some reason the stock ones were super pixelated, like they looked terrible. So I actually had my cover artist Evan Simonet, who works at Earthbound. Earthbound? Yeah. Earthborn. I keep saying Earthbound
because Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, Earthborn. Why'd you guys name it so close to the Super Nintendo game? Evan did he kind of cleaned it up and made it more sharp and more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Makes extra sharp cheddar.
Makes it extra sharp cheddar. But yeah, he cleaned it up for me. But yeah, the Ransom Creek one though, that one I just kept sending Adam images saying, "Is this look right? Does this look right?" And he would like kind of just tell me which ones looked good enough to use for the scene breaks. But yeah, Canva.
I don't even remember this stuff. I
send you some images.
This isn't a question, but Old School Gamer just had a comment saying they would love to hear the typical top 10 board game lists they would both have. I know it's standard fare and somewhat trite, but hearing the differences and similarities in your picks would be really interesting. First hobby game ever played in any RPG history would be interesting too. Heck, throw in the top first band, first album, TV show, all that stuff. So basically top 10 lists for like everything. That's something we're happy to do. I'm always horrible at that because I feel like my moods change all the time. And something I say is my favorite, like I used to always say Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite movies, but like I haven't watched that forever, and like I still love it.
You don't have to watch it that often.
I know, but like there's just so many things that come up. Like, oh man, that's what's hot right now in my mind.
Let's do board games.
No, we're not doing it right now.
No, it's not any order.
No, we're not doing it right now. Because you just can't think of. You're wasting podcast material. Derek, I think this is the last question. Yeah, Derek asks, any chance and or interest in working with Steamforged Games for a re-release of Alter Quest? Maybe new content and potentially some streamlining. I enjoy the game, but it does run long.
It's funny. We just talked to Sherwin Williams, not Sherwin Williams. I just use that because it's the paint company. Sherwin Matthews, right? Yes. is the lead game designer at Steamforged. We
ran into him at Gen Con and we were chatting about Street Masters, and obviously we're starting a new company, and he was all excited about that as well, like thinking about ways to collaborate. And we told him specifically, like we started this company, we're publishing our own games, but we're also more than happy to like work with other publishers on commissioning us as designers and just offering design services through the company,
which I just signed a contract for yesterday. So
yeah, not as part of the company though.
It's
not officially, right?
Yeah, the tax information.
This is like a sample or a test run. But we actually brought up Alter Quest, just chatting about what the plan is with that and everything like that. Nothing really to announce at that time, but we also expressed that we would be more than happy to collaborate on that, like we did with Street Masters.
Street Masters.
I said Street Masters. But yeah,
so that's, the door's open there. But yeah, there's nothing like and this is something that Steamforged would have to talk to themselves. We just know from being on the outside, they just have so many games coming up. They got so many IPs that are going on, so many licensing opportunities. So who knows where anything would fall for us to work on, but the options there. We have a good relationship with them. They did a great job with Street Masters. So Sweet Masters. Sweet.
This cat is just all up in my business.
If that's all of our... Oh, that's loud. If that was all of our... that looked terrible. I don't even know. I wasn't even talking that loud. That's all of our questions, right?
That was all the questions.
So, in terms of being campaigns in our asses, people always ask us about campaign stuff, it seems like, whenever we're designing. And I think it only came up one time with the Malice of Light. Someone asked if it was a campaign game. But I think because we kind of pitch it as like a roguelike, that's kind of like answers that question, essentially. Because it's like, it is a campaign in a sense, because it's all together. But before we get too much into talking about campaign games, I want to see if you remember what this was from, because whenever I think of campaign games, I think of a very particular scenario we had with our sculptor Tom Mason when we were going into a cult party, like cult thing, and my halfling. No, I was DMing. I think I was DMing. You guys were going in, and your heroes were trying to infiltrate undercover, essentially. And you knocked on the door, and it was like a very perverse scenario.
Slaanesh. It was a Slaanesh cult.
Well, you already know the answer. Then you spoiled it. I was on the quiz to see if you knew what it was from, but
well, yeah, that was my answer, right? Like I remember that. Of course I do.
I was gonna. Well, it was for the benefit of the listener. I was gonna.
Oh, I thought you were being serious, like trying to get me to help you figure out what it was.
No, I was gonna lay it out. I will say that Tom Mason and Adam, I forget, it was just the three of us, right? Like we were playing.
I think Matt Bonnick might have been.
Oh yeah, maybe. We were playing the new Warhammer. No, I think it was just us three.
There was somebody else.
I couldn't remember. But it was the third edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay with FFG. Was that third edition or fourth? Third.
I think it was third.
Because I think fourth was the newer.
Yeah, because second edition was the. Yeah.
So yeah, like it was a Slaanesh like cult ritual, and there was poop I kept saying there's poop everywhere, like fecal matter just smeared all over the walls, and like the heroes were coming in, and like the cultists like questioned them, "What are you doing here?" And then I think it was Tom's character just like stepped forward with his arms on his hips, says like, "Where do you want us?" that
was probably the best thing that he did that whole campaign. I think that campaign was fun because I was playing like a zealot, and I started with like a madness in my like it was really cool because there were all these little conditions you got that made your character kind of define how you role played, which was really nice. But I was I think I scared of people or something. So every time we went to like a bar or tavern, I would freak out.
Like agoraphobic.
Yeah, something like that.
The problem with campaign games is like they're so awesome for the player. Like players love campaign games. But it takes somebody to build that, like.
Well, for role playing games, yeah.
Well, no, any campaign.
Are you talking? Yeah.
Like from a design standpoint, like designing campaign stuff. Like right now, to give you an example, I play this little tiny card game called Regicide. Why is that so hard to say? Regicide. It's like a game that's played with a standard deck of cards. You can use like any deck of cards, like just grab it and look at the rules because there's no special like cards you need. But if you buy the actual Regicide deck, it's got cool artwork and stuff. But anyway, I got this new Kickstarter came in, Regicide Legacy, which takes that simplistic like card game you play with a 52 deck of cards, 52 deck of cards. What's the term? Is that the term? Standard deck of 52 cards, whatever. It's like
a deck of playing cards.
Yeah, yeah. I thought there was like a term. I was like misspeaking or whatever. But anyway, the legacy version is this huge box. It's got like a big like neoprene mat you roll out, and it's got like all these different mission tuck boxes you have. So like that got me thinking about campaign games again because I'm playing that with my daughter right now, and it's really cool. Like because it takes this like really simple concept of just playing a game with a standard deck of playing cards, and every time you play a game, it just changes little things here and there. But it's like it made me think like looking at the product itself. It's like, man, if I had to design this. Like it'd be interesting. I think it'd be interesting. I
said I thought it'd be interesting,
but I don't know if I'd love to do it because I feel like whenever we start a new project, I always want to just like create a cool sandbox system, where you can just do matchups, like you just make your own scenarios and that's where the replayability comes from. Not playing through a linear story, but I cannot deny. From a player side of things, like it's really cool, like unlocking new content. But it's just like with that game, like legacy games, it's just like you just know that it's a one and done thing. Like oh, that's done. I did that. Can't really experience it again. But if I had Street Masters, I break that open. I'm looking at that box down there. It's like you just pop it open and you shuffle up random stuff, and then you got a new experience.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a love-hate relationship with campaign games because I'm like most people where I feel like I want that I want the option to play campaigns, but in the reality is we never finish them. It's like all it is you're locked into one game for an extended period of time where there's so many other games you could be playing or other things like there's so many games out there that it's really hard to just devote all of your game nights to one game.
In practice too, like we don't we have like a game group, but it's like not consistent. Like, you know, it's supposed
to
be
be about weekly, but
Yeah.
but it's, you know,
But
every now and then they miss a week. Or
we were
whatever.
playing Stalker, and I liked Stalker. I think it's cool. I had it set up the other day to play with my daughter. We never got around to it. I took it down and played this new Regicide game instead because it's quicker. But it's that same problem where it's like I like that game, but because it's a campaign game, it's almost like, man, it's like a commitment. You know, it's like I gotta I commit to this thing. When like I have DC United, I just got in and I played 3 games of that already because it's like I don't have to decide about a commitment. I'm just like, I'm gonna play a couple games and see. And I'm looking at Hour of Need too because I know we played that recently before. Because you mentioned we're starting Frosthaven. That's kind of topical.
Yeah, one of the guys we work with one of the guys in our game group has just really wants to play Frosthaven. He's been playing the digital version. He just really wants to play a Frosthaven campaign, and it's, you know, like I have a copy that I haven't played through yet. So like, yeah, sure, we can play it. I'm not really looking forward to like playing an entire campaign of it. I don't think it's going to happen. Obviously,
yeah, it won't.
We'll probably play a few missions or whatever, or a few quests.
Sarah and I tried. We played like 2 or 3 scenarios a day, and we still burnt out pretty quick on it. So
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed when I played Gloomhaven. We played that for quite a bit, and I enjoyed unlocking new classes to the point where I just started opening classes because I just wanted to see more of them. But again, we busted out Hour of Need with them, and like playing that, like it's nice to play a game that's like a self-contained session, and you get a whole feeling of like a narrative and you know, in one play, and that's cool. That's all. I want more of that, you know.
Yeah, the weird thing is, the reason I brought that up is because we did play that, you know, before. We played it twice, but it's weird how like after playing that, I had that desire where it's like, oh man, I want to try that again, but playing a different scenario, different character. But it's like I don't always get that same feeling with campaign games because like it depends on the campaign game. Obviously with a Stalker, for example, like I didn't have that same like itch because it's like with Stalker as a specific game, like that, like you're mostly just following that linear narrative, you know. And like with Frosthaven, you're mostly just playing different battles and like getting a bunch of like external towns upgrade stuff and that's a totally different topic, but I don't love how they handle that in the Frosthaven one. But
yeah, I think every campaign game for me has always felt the same. It reminds me of that very first time we played Hero Quest, where it was like just the thought or the idea of endless possibilities, like endless adventure, where like you start a new campaign and a very low level character, and you hit the first level up and you get something cool and you're gonna keep it to the next game. That's always the cool feeling. But I think that fades quickly in a campaign where it's like, okay, well now I'm like level 5 and I unlock this, but I'm playing the same character, so it's not like stuff's changing up. And that's not to, you know, knock campaign stuff, because I'm a gamer. I still love, you know, the idea of campaigns and stuff like that. It's just, again, we've been designing games more these days where it's like in the reality of gaming, what do we want on our shelf? And we want to have these games where you can just bust them out, set them up real quick, and play with anybody. Oh, we got different friends coming over this time. We don't have to worry about like taking a campaign, you know, oh, this box is already set up for this other campaign. We can't play that. So it's cool to just have these games where you can just play, you know, one session, but still have that feeling of that you get from a campaign game.
Yeah, and ideally obviously the you know, what's the the term I'm looking for, like the ideal situation, like the best of both worlds. The best of both worlds is having a game system that can do both, you know, like you have a cool like modular one-off like roguelike experience, or you can play like an ongoing campaign. But I think that's why like in the video game world, why Raven's Watch hits so well for us, because it does give you that progression feeling, but in a truncated amount of time.
That's why we played MOBAs all the time.
Yeah.
Like we played Heroes of the Storm and like, you know, League of Legends all the time, is because you got that progression feel in a single session. Yeah. And that right there, I do feel like is the sweet spot where what I want. Like I love that feeling of progression, but you also get it quickly, and you can also do it. You get it all in one session.
Yeah, because a lot of the MDS games had that kind of feeling where you would build your tableau out and it felt like you were progressing over the course of a game, but it like you have to have the peaks and valleys where, you know, like you either lose some or you stop the game, start again, and progress.
I think that's what the key to Mouse Light Adventures is like, it's kind of like Street Masters, but it's almost the opposite. Street Masters, you have a deck of cards and you're playing them out to like kind of get this combo stuff going. But Mouse Light Adventures, you don't start with the cards. You have to earn them, and then you start building up these cards, these hands of cards to do things with, and it feels like you're building a little engine instead of starting with the parts. You have to earn the parts or whatever.
Yeah, you kind of discover it over the course, because that's one problem I have, even as like a person who played plenty of like, Street Masters or Hour of Need. Like, when you play a hero and you draw cards, you already have some kind of predetermined path you want to go down. But with Malice Light Adventures, you don't have that. You know roughly what you could possibly get, but you have no options yet. So it is pretty exciting. And I think like that sense of discovery can be injected into any type of game. Even if it's like a Euro game or whatever, you could have that sense of discovery in whatever components. But I think that's the key to what really pulls people in for campaign games, is like the persistence of that discovery. Like your discovery means something over the course of the other games. That adds a wrinkle that has to be in the campaign to make it work. But I think all that being said, it's like we always have that desire to do campaign stuff, but it, like, I feel like it has to be a kind of a balance where we want to do enough non-campaign stuff and not just all campaigns, because it makes, if you do everything campaigns, it's like it feels like it cheapens it in a way. I don't know.
Do you want to do your top 3 campaign games?
Mine
are going to be the same.
Our top one's going to be the same, right?
No.
No.
Why'd you spoil it now?
Well, my number 3 is Arkham Horror, the card game.
I was going to guess Arkham Horror, the card game, was your number 3. Was that right?
Oh, you were guessing. I thought you were just telling me to tell you what it was.
No, I was going to guess that.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
I think for me, see, mine are strange because they're not like games they're more like games that stuck with me. And for me, number 3 was probably Shadows of Brimstone, was because
that's 3?
Number 3.
That's 3.
You think that's 3? You think that's too high for me?
No, I thought it'd be one. I thought it'd be like 1, closer to 1.
That game, I think, is more of the product model. Where first of all, I love the theme of like Wild West hero, like characters from the Wild West setting, going down into the mines and finding portals in other dimensions. It's awesome, but it also sets the product model up. They can basically do anything. They can have a box that's a derelict ship, a box that's a wasteland, a box, all these different boxes, and they also have all these different, enemy packs they can release. That just the other enemies from different worlds showing up. There's, undead outlaws. There's dudes from like some radiated World War II looking planet or world, universe, or whatever.
It is a great model for a game.
But the game is so hard to play because it's just, when we played it, we played a campaign of it. I'd have this giant card holder out and like all these different storage boxes and stuff just to have everything we needed to play. It was such a huge ordeal.
There was 2 main problems with the game. One was that, like, just the component bloat. Like, they didn't think about the player, like, UI aspect.
Yeah, you need tokens for everything.
Yeah. And the second part is, like, they gave you way too much right away, where, like, the late game, it's like you didn't care about anything afterwards.
You start with like a personal item and then all these starting skills and stuff. It should have been way simpler. Yeah. And also, what it needed was a campaign book. Like, it made it so you could just play missions forever. And that's cool. That's great for, like, sandbox stuff. But, like, the game should have a goal. It's like you're trying to do this thing to maybe pick a villain, and you're working your way to fight this big, huge mastermind villain, and that's the campaign. That would be cool. And I think they're going to do that because they've been hinting it. They have to do so much product for that game. But anyway, that's number 3 for me.
Number 2, like, I was kind of going back and forth on this because I was going to say Marvel Champions because I like their little campaign expansions because they're very small. It's like, 4 or 5 scenarios that's like a campaign. But I think, like, honestly, I know this is kind of like controversial because of the whole legacy thing, but I think like Pandemic Legacy is a campaign game.
Yeah, and it was good. It was a good one.
Yeah, it's very much like that stuck with me all these years since playing. It must have been like 10 years ago we played that, whatever it was, but that still stuck with me. It's a really good game.
I don't think I'd ever want to play it again, but like I definitely loved my experience playing it.
Yeah,
and it was
that's the problem.
It was definitely memorable.
It doesn't feel like, because it's so linear, it doesn't really feel as replayable.
And that's the weird thing. It's like it's a cool memory, but I don't like consumable games. Yeah. I just don't. I want a game that I can keep on my shelf, and it's just that's why I like board games. For my number 2 is actually probably what Barry already said. It's the only campaign game I think we've actually finished for completely without skipping things or anything. I played all the way through, and that's Iridia. Probably one of the best campaign experiences I've had at the tabletop. Even though it's not number 1 for a couple of reasons, it is definitely up there. And I think that's
That's
pretty
my
cool.
number one. Yeah, like I've never played a game that hit me as much as that one, because I know when we made that like episode back when we did Joint Operations, it was like that's the best game ever made. Like in a lot of ways, that's still like gonna be true for me, because I don't think I've ever played a campaign that really and you know, people will say just because they did the halflings right, but yeah, that is a big thing.
For my number one is probably something make Brave rolls eyes, but it's mainly for nostalgia reasons and a couple other things. But it's Warhammer Quest, like the original Warhammer Quest.
Well, you keep saying
Because I know
degrading me.
I know you don't like the game, like the gameplay.
You know the gameplay is problematic, but like,
yeah, I do know. But like for me, the main thing for that thing, the thing that hooked me when I was back in my 20s or whatever, I discovered that game, was that role play book. That role play book was such an awesome addition. Not even addition, it was part of the game. Like you had this very simple game, very simple. You just go into a room, draw a card, and fight some guys, whatever. I do like the mission structure where you draw a type of tile, like it's the fire chamber, and then you go to the fire chamber section of the adventure book and roll a d6, and there's 6 different adventures tied to that objective room. So like there's tons of different little stories and stuff like that. They're not that they're not that mechanically interesting, but it's a cool concept. And then the roleplay book was like, okay, you play through a dungeon, now you can go to town, you can do things in town, and every single character can do different things in town. It's such a great.
The little character expansions that had those little tiny booklets, that made the game for me personally like it's great. It can make it on any list because it's got little booklets. Like a just
very antiquated roll a d6 to see if you hit type thing. It's not like very, and it's extremely unbalanced. Once you get past like the first couple levels, it gets impossible. They're just dropping like 20 demons on you and stuff. It's crazy, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a cool product, and it definitely. There's a reason why people love it so much. So
there's a reason it's a campaign in my ass.
And that's a game where I think if we ever did a campaign game, I would do something that mirrored Warhammer Quest, but in our own mechanical way. We would have a much more interesting mechanic to it, but keep it simple enough that it could just expand like that. That would be really cool.
Do it. I don't care. Do it. See if I care.
Maybe Little Monk is this guy who he is the biggest Warhammer fan ever, but he's been keeping this game Warhammer Quest alive. I actually reached out to him back in 2014 or 2013 when we were working on Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game, and I said, "Hey, you want to play test this?" He was all excited. He didn't like it. He apologized to me fairly recently when I was buying some stuff from him, because he's like, I didn't realize you were trying to do a different game. I thought you were trying to recreate a card game version of Warhammer Quest. It's like, no, we couldn't do that. It wouldn't be allowed. But anyway. He's been keeping that game alive with all kinds of homebrew expansions, and he does these really nice like component prints of map tiles, and he's redoing the character booklets you were talking about, but like in a bigger size. I actually bought those from him.
Make them smaller. Make them smaller.
But he did them full color, and he he tweaked some stuff and redesigned it. But anyway, I'm like, man, if we ever did our own game, I would just maybe reach out to him and say, hey, do you want to just do all this for your own dungeon crawl, and just we'll pay you for it, and you could be the designer. So yeah, maybe I'll reach out to Little Monk and see if he's interested, because that'd be a fun project.
So yeah, that's our top 3. And like we could go on probably a long time about campaign games. We'll keep it brief. We'll just move into like what we've been viewing, consuming, like playing. Like what's on your hot list lately?
Like anything?
Yeah, like TV, movies, games, like video games.
Been playing a lot of Helldivers 2 like daily.
Duh.
The new Marvel Rivals season started, so I've been kind of dipping my toe back into that. But that's
remind me tomorrow morning. I haven't done. Is Daredevil's available, right?
No, okay. Angela is right now. Daredevil's later. And
I'll still do a couple runs of something Daredevil related, or Rivals. We've only been doing Helldivers. So.
Yeah, and also like I mentioned before, I've been playing Borderlands 4 this weekend. My wife bought that for me, so I've been playing that with her. And it's a campaign, so it's a campaign. I still don't understand how that game doesn't have third person though. Like,
how does any game not have third person?
You get into a car, or you get in your little vehicle, you're third person. You get melee weapons, you're third person. Just give the game a third person option. Come on.
Yeah, you did the work. Show it off, man.
Yeah, I've been watching Alien Earth, Peacemaker season 2.
I'm about to go watch Peacemaker with my daughter because she's really behind. She's like 4 episodes behind.
It's very inappropriate for.
She already saw episode 1. She saw the dancing penis guy. It's fine.
I think there's yeah.
So far, it's been pretty okay.
Yeah. I think that I've been rewatching Alien Earth with my wife because she didn't watch it when it came out. So
I had to rewatch that episode 4, I think it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking forward to getting to that one.
So I've been.
Oh, I don't think I mentioned it, but Brady. Well, I was giving Brady a hard time about his mod retro chromatic little Game Boy thing that I thought was ridiculous for him to buy. I played it, and I could not believe how good it felt. I wasn't even a huge. I liked my Game Boy when I was younger, but I was not like obsessed with the idea like Brady was. But man, playing that thing and then seeing the new version of Tetris they did, it made me like really appreciate what they were doing. And I'm like, they want to do more, like re-release more official Game Boy games. They already are.
Yeah, they were.
It's like, so I got suckered into buying one too. So I got I got a version of Pokemon Blue, a cartridge of that, and I was playing that because it's the first Pokemon game I ever played.
It's so good. Like, it's weird how it holds up.
It's very nostalgic.
Because I was playing the new Pokemon on Switch.
Sword or Shield.
I think I have Shield, and it's remarkable. It looks amazing. But it's like I turn on and play a little bit. I'm like, it's cool. I'm gonna go play my Game Boys.
Yeah, because it's just simpler. It's just it's nostalgia. That's all it is. But anyway, I got that Super Pocket a while ago to play some Evercade stuff, and that kind of got me in the retro mood, and it caught me up in this retro whirlwind. So I ended up getting the mod retro chromatic, and now I've been playing that in bed. So
yeah, I love holding that thing where I'll play I have Pokemon Green and I have Metal Gear Solid I've been playing, and it's just, and Zelda Link's Awakening is one of the best Game Boy Color games ever made. But yeah, I can't. That
remake on the Switch was great. Should not have been cost that much, but it was great.
I don't know, like I haven't played it again, but I just love the original so much that
you can't replace it, but it's just really good remake.
I've been playing a lot of that as well, but I've also been on this drive I made on the way home. I was running out of podcasts to listen to because I don't have a ton of podcasts I follow, but I was like searching for true crime podcasts. There's a bunch of them out there. Jennifer Flowers, who's like kind of local, she's in Fishers or something. I actually applied for a job one time as a scriptwriter for that podcast, but Crime Junkie is the podcast. I listen to some of that, but I end up turning back on my Stephen King's audiobook, and I listened to that pretty much the entire drive home from Knoxville. Like that audiobook is just so damn good. I just keep going back to it. I remember I listened to that all the way through painting all my Rattlings when I was painting my Kill Team stuff. I just listened to that on repeat. I love it. And I've also been watching Peacemaker, Alien Earth, and oddly enough, I think I might have mentioned this last time, I forget, but I've been watching a ton of The Office UK, Ricky Gervais, which isn't. I'm much more of a US Office guy. I love The Office, but for some reason I've been on a UK kick when I'm playing my mod retro, and it's nice. It's nice comfort, awkwardness. But anyway, that's what I've been doing. That's a podcast, man. Thanks for hanging out and talking about how much campaigns suck.
Campaigns don't suck, but
how much thinking about designing campaigns.
But yeah, well, depends on the game. If we were doing like I said, Warhammer Quest style game where we were just doing charts of monster stats, that'd be fun. I'd be into that.
We'll see how it goes. Make sure you follow along on the Gamefound Mouse Light Adventures.
Spread the word to your friends.
Make sure you go review our book, The Ransom Creek Remains. I keep saying the. We should just put the on the title. Ransom Creek Remains. Go review it on Goodreads and Amazon. It's getting good reviews so far. We've seen some more reviews, more noise.
Yeah. Buy a copy if you haven't yet.
Yeah. Well, you have to buy it to review it. You can't just cheat.
Oh.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be back maybe in a week or two. So,
right. See you guys.
Bye.